Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of my F122 modded career mode. Here we are for the Canadian Grand Prix this episode. If you did miss the last episode for the USA Grand Prix, be sure to go check that one out. A race that went quite crazy at the end, and it's been a very exciting season so far. I'm having a lot of fun here, but we'll start off with a sponsor. We're going to get 5 overtakes in a race, as we're at Team Acclaim level 5 now, as we come into the Canadian Grand Prix to end off this kind of American continent leg of the season. So the first 4 races, starting in Brazil, then we did Mexico and US, and now we come to Canada. But yeah, we're going to do a couple of upgrades here. We're actually going to go for a tyre wear upgrade. I think that's going to be quite helpful. We're looking quite strong on the chassis side of things actually, so that's promising. We've got a front downforce upgrade pending, and we also have an engine power upgrade pending as well. We did have a failed durability upgrade, so we're going to have to repurchase that. But yeah, there's everything we've got coming in. As for the progress history, we're still 3rd from bottom, but we are kind of keeping up with everyone, so we're doing alright for now. We also have one of these department events here. We can either go for driver acclaim or driver focus. I'm gonna go for driver focus for now. I think that's going to be more helpful in the actual race, and we can continue to advance time then. And our front downforce upgrade does come in, so we can go ahead and buy another upgrade. We have plenty of resource points, and we're probably going to go for this rear downforce upgrade because we have a massive discount on it, so we might as well get that. Aero wise, we are quite on top of a few teams there, so we're doing alright there. We just need to keep the upgrades coming in basically, and yeah, keep moving forward. If you're not moving forward in Formula 1, you're moving backward, so need to keep that up, as engine power upgrade comes in as well, so that's quite promising. And I can't quite afford another upgrade just yet, so we'll have to wait for next episode probably to do any more upgrades. But we advance time further. The gearbox upgrade does come in, and with that it's time to go into the weekend. Looking at the performance comparison chart, still in the same place. We are kind of level with Jaguar now. It's hard to see their line on the graph because of the colour, but yeah, we should be alright. I'm not sure if we'll score points today. It depends. Obviously we got lucky in the past couple of races with some of the kind of big names DNFing and not finishing, so we're just going to have to see what happens here in Canada. But it looks like Mercedes bring some big upgrades into this race also, so it could be an interesting one. But with that, let's go into qualifying, and we go to the end of Q1 then. Oh, this is actually my a couple of kind of flying banker laps that I did. I don't normally record these, or at least they don't make it to the final edit. But you can see as I went on my 2nd consecutive banker lap, it actually started raining, so it's a good job we went out early, and we can get in a couple of times, because by the end of qualifying the track's going to be wet. And with that we actually managed to get P14, so we just sneak into Q2 there as teammate up in P8, so going out early really kind of helps us out there. We got out on track at the right time, and we actually have a couple of both Red Bulls out of Q1, so that's been made a bit of a mess of that, and Fernando Alonso in that Renault as well, so not great for them. But we come into Q2 and it is absolutely siling it down. The car is all over the place. I've got a pretty low downforce setup, as there isn't actually any rain forecast for race day, but you can see I am just completely all over the place in this wet weather. The car feels like it has no grip, and there's teammates actually on the full wet tyres, so we strap on a set of full wets, and we're going to go out and at least just try and get a lap in if we can. I'm really not good in the rain at the best of times, let alone with a low downforce setup, but it makes more sense to set the car up for the race than kind of compromise it for qualifying, because obviously it's the race where you score points. But you can see there, massive drift through that corner, very kind of anxious to get the power on, and we go wide at that corner once again. But we do manage in the end to get a lap time in, but we're about 3 seconds off the pace in this wet weather, so it is less than ideal. As we come towards the end, a lot of people have actually gone out on the intermediate tyres. I'm going to try another lap on the wets, and the track should be a bit drier, so even on the wet tyres we should be able to make up some time. But you can see with the ERS deployment there, I'm kind of switching it off for the corner exits and just using it kind of when I'm in at least sort of 5th gear. But as we come once again into this left-hander, we're having trouble with a big drift there once again. I actually managed to get the corner this time, but on the exit as we go down the straight, just get a massive wobble, try to correct it, and yeah, we go into the wall. So bottle qualifying once again, it seems to be a bit of a theme this season. Me and qualifying not particularly doing very well, but both the Ferraris make it into Q3, sorry, as do both the Mercedes, both the McLarens. But we have Vettel in the Toyota up there, and Tsunoda in the Jaguar, who's kind of sort of becoming his rival in this series. But with that, let's go into the Grand Prix.
It's time once again then to go racing here in Montreal, the second largest French-speaking city in the world, and home since 1978 to the Canadian Grand Prix. We'll be seeing top speeds of around 210 miles per hour here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, with around 2/3 of the lap taken at full throttle. High-speed chicanes spell potential danger, especially at the infamous Wall of Champions, and watch out for overtaking into the hairpin and that final chicane. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And a very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Russell, Lando Norris and Ocon, Ricciardo, Bottas, Tsunoda and Sebastian Vettel, Mick Schumacher, Nissany, Alex Albon and Latifi, Evans, Joe, Fernando Alonso and Max Verstappen, Stroll, Magnussen, Gasly. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, and Sergio Perez completes our grid. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Okay, now that we've got some good points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
Well, we'll certainly try as best to get in the top 10. Obviously, we've been lucky in the past couple of races, like I say, with all those DNFs from higher up in the grid. But we're just going to do a simple one-stop strategy as we see the 5 red lights go out and away we go for the Canadian Grand Prix. And we absolutely get blitzed off to the start. A little bit of a wobble there on the rear, but we're going to go back up inside Zhou Guanyu, and there's Alonso goes round the outside of us, so we lose out on one position, but it's not as bad as it kind of normally is for our race start. But we have Verstappen right behind us now, and this is going to be a tough race, as we nearly get put into the wall there from Alonso. I think he were more focused on Zhou Guanyu. We get a warning for it. It were only minor contacts, we didn't get any damage, and I think we backed out just at the right time there. But there goes Verstappen, he cruises past us, and we actually have Lance Stroll trying to make a move round the outside, but we go defensive then and manage just about to hold him off. So we're in P18 as we come down to this this hairpin before the big long straight, and Verstappen actually gets slowed up. I have a cheeky look around the outside, but obviously we're not going to be racing him I do want to kind of try and stick with him though, and maybe follow him through as he makes his way through the field. I think that's going to be the best game plan going forward. Stroll behind us is on the soft tyres though, so we'll have to look out for that. But yeah, let's just follow Verstappen and see what we can do. But as we come on to lap 2, Stroll on those soft tyres is having a look at us as he tries once again round the outside. We go a little bit deep and a little bit wide into the corner, but we just about managed to hold on, squeeze him out a little bit. But he's going to have another go up the inside here, and we actually have Sergio Perez in that other Red Bull behind us, as it's 3 wide in front of us there. And I think it's quite important that we get ahead of Stroll, and it gives us a big kind of push there. As you see, I think we'll just squeeze him a bit too much, but it gave us a bit of an aggressive shunt there out of the way. But we go side by side into the last corner, but we're just going to completely claim that racing line, and Latifi in front of us is slow, and we're going to take advantage of that then as we pass Latifi. Look up the inside of Zhou Guanyu as well, but we're not quite close enough to get the double overtake as we try round the outside then. But that Audi Sauber car does have superior power. We're still side by side, but we back out of it. We try a bit of a switchback, but Zhou just parked his car on that second apex there, so not much we can do there. But we're up into P17 then. There's a couple of cars, there's one car between us and the Red Bull, so hopefully Latifi can do us a favour and hold Perez up a little bit. I don't think he'll be behind us all race, but all we can really do is try his best. As we come on to lap 4 then, and we're going to be looking to make a move on the Audi Sauber car if we can. I think we do have the pace. That Audi Sauber car does have the V10 engine, so it's got quite good straight line speed, but not as good as us when we have DRS and DRS. And we brake a little bit early and go for a little bit of a switchback move coming out of that final chicane. And there we are then, back up into P16, back where we started. But most importantly, we've got all the kind of quicker guys are in front of us now, and some of the guys we're actually fighting are behind us, with the exception of maybe Perez. But we go on to lap 5 then. Speaking of the quicker guys, here's Alonso. He makes a move on our teammate Nissany, who's up there in P14, and it's going to be a pretty slam dunk overtake as they go onto the straight then. That's Alonso ahead of Nissany as they come into the final chicane. He's got Verstappen right behind him as well, and Verstappen's got the DRS, I think, and he's just going to send it up the inside, and it's a pretty easy overtake for Verstappen in the end. But as we come on to lap 6, we've made some ground on his teammate as well, so we're going to be looking to make the move if we can, trying it round the outside of the hairpin, but we can't quite get that to work. But as we come down the back straight, we're going to have DRS open, a bit of ERS, and yeah, it's going to be a pretty easy overtake. There's a bit of a nudge there. We go round the outside into the chicane, take the racing line up into P15, easy as you like. But it looks like there's Albon. He's kind of in the mix there with the Red Bull of Verstappen and the Renault of Alonso. So like I say, we're just going to see if we can follow Verstappen through and get past Albon and make as many positions as we can. As here we are on lap 7, and there's Verstappen and Albon going side by side, and we're going to get in the slipstream. Just try and be a bit patient and wait for his moment really, as they're still side by side going into the hairpin, and I think now's going to be his time to strike, as I don't think Albon actually has DRS. I think it was Verstappen who got the DRS. We're going to have DRS as well, and once again on this back straight we just cruise past Albon, and there we are then up into P14 now, that is. So we're making good progress through this race. A couple of other cars come into pit as well, so we're actually up into P12 now. I think that was one of the Jaguars, and I'm not sure who else actually. I think it was one of the McLarens actually. Yeah, it was Lando Norris. And on lap 12 we're up into P11 now, as I think another car came into pit. But yeah, Norris is hot on his tail after he came in for that early pit stop, so I assume he's on a two-stop strategy. we're not going to fight Norris too much. He's in a much quicker McLaren car. There's not really much point. So as he comes into this DRS zone, he just cruises past us, and we don't really lose any time fighting him there. So I'll just try and stick in his DRS, build up a bit of a gap if we can. And yeah, he overtakes Vettel, who were in front of him, and now we can have a go at the other Toyota. So we'll see what happens here then. We're up into P12, like say, with a couple of other guys going for those early pit stops. Vettel's still just doing the one stop, but obviously he qualified quite high up. We'll see what we can do against him though, as on lap 15 we're on. He actually comes into the pits, and I'm going to go out for one more lap and see if we can get like an overcut strategy to work. Obviously those hard tyres when they're cold are very, very slow tyre compound to be on. So we're going to see what we can do then as we come into the pits on the very next lap. We went up into P9 briefly, but obviously that will cost a couple of the other guys made some pit stops. So we're going to see where we come out here as we look to get an optimal turn in. It looks like one of the Andretti Haas cars is also in. But if you look at that front left, they're struggling to get it on, and it's a very long pit stop for us there. So yeah, it's quite annoying as we're down into P16, 17, P18, and yeah, the question is where we're going to come out, as we've got the two Toyotas battling actually. So even though we had a slow pit stop, we still come out ahead of Vettel, as I think his teammate Stroll, who Stroll's actually on the 2 stop, so I think those two must have been having a bit of a scrap, and Stroll slowed his teammate down so much that even with our pit stop mistake, we still managed to jump Vettel in the pits. We still have a couple of other people to make a pit stop in front of us, so Stroll, like I say, is on the 2 stop, so he's going to be making another stop, as are the 2 Williams as well, and I think one of the Audi cars. So but we go on to lap 20, skip forward a bit from Vettel's POV. You saw in front of him, that was me making a massive mistake. They got brake checked a little bit by Stroll and Latifi there, and we went massively off track and kind of just let Vettel straight back through. So we've got a bit of extra work for ourselves there. We were catching up to Stroll and Albon, but now we've got to catch back up to Vettel after that pretty catastrophic mistake. So we'll see what we do, what we can do then. Like I say, I think Stroll and Albon and Latifi still need to make another pit stop. Speaking of Albon, he is out of this session. So for the BMW Williams cars, 2 races in a row, they've had a car out. So that new BMW engine potentially being quite unreliable. But here we are then on lap 21, having a look up the inside of Sebastian Vettel, and we get the move done on that Toyota car, and we can once again go chasing after Stroll and Latifi, as I have a bit of a wobble on the rear there. I was struggling a little bit with the low downforce setup, the car being very kind of wobbly on the exit and a little bit understeery in places as well, but we make up for it on the straights. So I think that's the setup was kind of working for us really, as we come down this back straight then and see if we can make any moves, as Stroll is going to have DRS, obviously Latifi's not. So we'll see what we can do, as we're going to have a look up the inside, see if there's anything there, but they're actually both going to come into the pits for that second pit stop, and that's going to be us up into P14. Also Tsunoda comes in, as he's on a 2-stop strategy, so we're in P13 now, and yeah, we're back pretty much where we started before we came into pit. Well, I think we're up into P12, so we're still 1 position down. But here's Sainz, he's leading the race on lap 26. Then you have Hamilton in a Ferrari sandwich with Leclerc, and Leclerc himself is in a Mercedes sandwich. And then you have Ocon in that Renault. Verstappen, he's in P6, so he's made up some good progress in this race. Then you have Norris and Bottas in P8, quite important for him, because he's yet to score any championship points so far in this season. But here's Mick Schumacher in the Andretti Haas. He's under attack from Perez and Alonso as they come down this back straight. And Ricciardo's in there as well, as Alonso, he went for the lunge, but he drives into the back of Perez and he's lost his front wing. So Alonso trying that move that he tried on his teammate earlier on in the race, but he just went straight into the back of Perez, and he's got no front wing, so maybe a bit of a lifeline then for Mick Schumacher to keep that Andretti Haas in the points positions, but it's going to be very tricky for him as he's got that McLaren of Daniel Ricciardo behind him. So yeah, that's going to be tough, but for us that's going to be a free position after Alonso has to come into the pits to get his front wing fixed. For us, it were a pretty quiet race for since we overtook Vettel and the two other cars in the pits, but it wasn't a quiet race for Carlos Sainz, as he were actually on a two-stop strategy. This is his second set of mediums, and he's going to come into the pits, I assume, for a set of softs. And yeah, there he is. So was that the correct call? Well, I don't know, but he was leading the race. We're going to see where he's going to come out of the pits here. Hamilton is now, he gains the lead of the race, going to the end on those tyres, as is Leclerc and Russell, and Sainz comes out just behind Russell then. So we'll see what he can do, but meanwhile on lap 28 you have Verstappen making a move on Ocon, pretty easy overtake into that final chicane, so Verstappen really limiting the damage after he failed to get in out of Q1 that was. But here's Sainz on those soft tyres then on lap 30. He's looking to get back at Russell and get on the podium, and with those fresh softs compared to Russell's hard tyres, you quite fancy Sainz to get this move done on the Mercedes, and he gets it done even before they come into the chicane, so that's showing that V10 engine power of Ferrari, who really need a couple of good races. It hasn't been a very solid start to the season for them, with a few DNFs and engine failures, but the inevitable kind of happens here, and Ricciardo in that Vodafone McLaren Mercedes, he makes the move on the Andretti Haas car and Mick Schumacher, and he's going to round out the top 10. Meanwhile, on lap 31, just a little bit up the road, you have Sergio Perez. He's putting the pressure on that Audi Sauber car of Valtteri Bottas, and that's Perez up into P8 then. So Red Bull doing a good job of at least rescuing some points from this race. For us, we come on to the last lap. Vettel did catch back up with us a little bit. We have to kind of defend into the last corner, but for us it's going to be a P12 finish. Not amazing, obviously we've had a couple of good points finishes, but obviously this race a lot of the top guys were still in contention, so I think that was probably the best we could do given the circumstances, and yeah, I'm not too disappointed with that race.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners.
So Lewis Hamilton wins Mercedes' second race win in this season, with Russell taking a win and now Hamilton taking a win as well. That means that he has won a race in every single season of Formula 1 that he's raced in this alternate F1 universe. I'm sure some people will be very happy to see that. As for Ferrari, it's a double podium for them, and after their last two races, especially for Leclerc in particular, he had a DNF in the last two races. They had a double DNF last race, so it's very important for Ferrari to kind of limit the damage there. As Bottas, he scores his first points then in this Formula 1 season, and I think that's actually I think Zhou Guanyu, he has some points as well for Audi Sauber already, but there's Alonso as well, who finishes out the points. Alonso, another driver struggling. He's had 2 DNFs in the previous 2 races and has a pointless finish today, so yeah, it's going to be pretty tough for him. As we take a look at the standings, we're still in P9, Tsunoda not scoring any points that race. But Verstappen leads by 21 points. Then you've got the 2 Mercedes drivers. Hamilton actually on equal points with Sainz there. Then it's Perez on 53, just a couple behind them. But then you have Charles Leclerc 10 points behind Perez. So yeah, Leclerc needs to do some pretty serious work then in this season to kind of claw his way back up the grid if he's going to want to win. And there's Alonso, we just spoke about him. He's down in P11 with only 5 points, so he's another driver going to be on a bit of a recovery for the rest of the season. But Bottas, he scores his first points. Most of the drivers actually have got points in this championship. All the teams have got points. Williams with a point there, and Toyota have a couple. We're still in P6 with 14 points. And yeah, I think that's everything. So thank you very much for watching this episode, guys. If you did enjoy it, you know which buttons to click, and I'll see you all in the next one.